So, why is love at the center of our shared values? Why is love the core of our theology? And the answer to that is because we are part of a living tradition with a long, long legacy that dates back 2,000 years, literally to just within Christianity alone. Origen, one of the desert fathers of Christianity, in a time of empire and exploitation, when literally ravishing other lands and kidnapping people as slaves was considered a reasonable law of the land. In that context, Origen said, "Do you know, I know a force even more powerful, love. God has a deep love for all people and every person. And this love is granted fully to you no matter what you have done." So for instance, on the way here, if you had some choice words for another driver on the road, you received that love. If somehow you showed up too late for your child's choir performance, you still receive that love. If you really tick off your sibling, you receive that love. If you failed as a spouse again and again, you receive that love. If you never make it to Sunday service in time for the sermon, you receive that love. That love is an unbroken, continuous flow towards you, there to remind you that you are worthy of love and respect. And it holds you, and hopefully it opens your heart to following what it means to be a loved and loving person in the world. That is our beautiful and powerful universalist heritage. And then we have our Unitarian heritage, which is a beautiful complement because, again, universalism believes that God is love. God has that perfect love, that generous love. And Unitarianism says part of that love, that capacity to love like that, has been instilled like a spark within us. That we humans have a capacity to love like that. And it is our job to kindle that flame, kindle that holy capacity to love. Now, what is that love? Is it the Hallmark love? Is it a self-love? I need to think of myself. I think I am the best. I don't think it's that kind of love. Is it romantic love? Now, I have to say, it delights me when two people meet at church and fall in love. So maybe that is a little bit of the love here. And sometimes going to church together helps keep a couple together. So I do love a little bit of romantic love, but that's not the kind of love we're talking about. Now, Greeks actually have like 7 to 11 different words that we all translate as love. The scholars disagree. Sometimes they put a different little twist on it. So these are some of them. Is it familial love? The love that you show your family. You know, the kind of sometimes endearing love and proud love, but also dutiful love and begrudging love. It's a little bit of that here, but that's not what I'm talking about. Is it erotic love? We're not that kind of cult. There are places, people. This is one of those ones where the pilot's like, if this is not your flight, please exit immediately. Is it the type of love between friends? And boy, do I see that here. You know, people will come here and they will say, oh, You know, when this person in my family died, it was the people, my friends here, who were literally by my side. When I decided to go on a trip, who did I take with me? Who did I bring to that concert? Who did I share my life with? A lot of the friendships in this church. But it's not just that. It's not just that, because I know, for instance, there are a lot of people who love Josh who have never even had a meal with him, who maybe have never even talked to him, but there's a love for Josh because Josh and the worship ensemble awakens a part of their spiritual life every month, somehow awakens something human and beautiful in them. And so we have this like love for our musicians that's not in that philia, that friendship love. So what we're talking about here, using the Greek word, is agape love. Agape love is that holy love, that universalist love, that spark of the divine love, that love that is sacred by nature. But like, what is that? Like, how would you define that in more typical terms? And C.S. Lewis, in his book, The Four Loves, describes it like this. It is a selfless love that is passionately committed to the well-being of others. It is a selfless love that is passionately committed to the well-being of others. And I think that is what we're talking about. What does that love look like, though? A love that is selfless and committed to the well-being of others. Now, there's a passage in the Bible that many of you will know, even if you've never opened up the Bible. It is in 1 Corinthians, book 13, verses 4 through 7. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. That is agape love. And it is the type of love that is being referred to in our Sunday covenant and in Article 2. Now, the word love appears 3 times in our Sunday covenant. Love is the spirit of our people. We seek to build the beloved community, and we seek fuller truths in love. And that looks like us choosing to be patient, choosing to be kind, choosing to be humble. It means not dishonoring each other. It means not being self-seeking. It means not being easily angered, not keeping a record of wrongs. It does mean always trusting, always hoping, always persevering. It means being passionately committed to the well-being of others. At the end of our covenant, it goes, to live for one another. That means making choices that are for the well-being of one another. Live your life. Make all the choices. We make choices throughout the day. Not for oneself, but for another. Now, the really critical thing you'll hear in that choices is this kind of agape love is not just emotional love. It is chosen love. It is volitional, not just emotional. It is volitional. You choose to do it. People come here. Some people are coming here for the very first time today, which is so delightful. And if you continue with us, you will make a choice at some point whether to make the promise of being in covenant, the promise of doing your best, your wonderfully imperfect best, to love like that, to love in the way referred to in our covenant. And the choice is beautiful, and the choice brings a commitment to will and to action, to doing this. And so when you think about this love fueling our values, you think about how love is the bonds between interdependence. And when you do the work of justice, you're not just seeking justice for yourself. You're seeking justice passionately for the others around you. That when you're giving generously, you're not just giving for yourself. You're giving because you believe in something larger. That you work for pluralism because you want many voices to be included. That you are patient and forbearing through transformation, aka otherwise known as change. And you fight for equity because you want everyone there to be as valued as hopefully you are. And that is why love is at the center. Because if it's not at the center, we might be missing what it's all about. And there's a story that really captures to me what it looks like on a small way to be part of a congregation that practices agape love. And it's from one of our churches in Minnesota, where Reverend Victoria Safford was minister, and she captured this story. And it's entitled, "Why Do You Come, John?" I knew a man once who came to church every Sunday. You might find nothing remarkable in this, but think of it. A man who came every single Sunday. And it was not that he lacked for other things to do. I knew him only the last years of his life, a birthright Unitarian, a retired geologist who, when he was not at church, was a volunteer for Amnesty International, for the local food bank, for the Civil Liberties Union, for the Family Planning Clinic, the AIDS Project, and for the Unitarian Universalist District, of which we were a part, for the Audubon Society, and for a splendid community chorus. Busier than any of us with full-time jobs, he was committed, effective, and clear about what he could and would, and by his own standards, should contribute to the causes he cared for, the world and people he cared for. Why do you come, John? In all kinds of weather, when you're well and when you're not, when you like the guest speaker and when you know you won't. Why do you come every Sunday? I asked him not long before he died. His answer was straightforward, just like the man himself. I come, he said, because someone might miss me if I didn't. He said in a way not arrogant at all, but generously and honestly. He was the kind of person who saw it as his duty and his privilege to welcome newcomers on Sunday, not because he needed more friends for himself. He did not want to evangelize the visitors or grow the church. On contrary, he loved and missed the small congregation he had joined in 1955. He felt a little lost amongst the sea of all the new faces and a little sad at all the changes. He greeted people Sunday as they came and steered them towards the minister, the coffee pot, the Sunday school, the guest book, the pledge cards, the sign-up sheets, because he felt it was the right and only thing to do. When people come to your home, you welcome them as if nothing that moment matters more. He worked hard on Sunday mornings. He got up on Sunday expecting to work hard to make others feel at home. He came with that in mind, and he was right. After he died, we missed him when he didn't come. And do you know what happened? The Sunday after his memorial, someone new who had never met John and now would never have the choice walked right in and sat down in his empty spot in the front row. A whole family just sat down as if they owned the place, as if they had every right to be there, as if we were glad to see them. Two women, new to town with their toddler and their baby, they came hoping there was room, and John himself would have been delighted. My dear ones, may we build a church like that. May we recognize that we have a capacity to come together. Now, there is a line that I've been saying for years has come from Francis David, our Unitarian Transylvanian forebearer. And it turns out I learned on Facebook, no evidence he ever said it. The line is, we do not need to think alike to love alike. Did you know, interestingly, where that line actually kind of comes from? John Wesley, father of Methodism. And I'll tell you, when John Wesley was preaching, we were trying to tear him down. He would be holding these big worship services and calling people in. And do you know what the Unitarians would say? It's so emotional. He's appealing to people's hearts. You can't trust that. He goes, we'd say, appropriate service is a well-reasoned service. If you're feeling too much emotions, you never know where that could carry you. It's interesting, the things that we think are the values we see even in people and places and communities we disagree with. But John Wesley said, we may not think alike, but may we love each other. And I would say there are over 500 experiences of what it means to be in church here. And many of us have a common love, a common feeling of collection and community, but some of us are holding on to some pain or disappointment. And I invite us to think about how we can practice this love. How this love, our ability to love one another, is in our capacity, in our being, in these hands to offer to one another. We are embodiment of this sacred love, great mystery of flesh and intention, and may we offer this kind of generous love to all around us and build the beloved community together. May it be so. And amen. And the purpose of this ritual is to let go of anything we no longer need to hold on to, something that is not helpful for us as we move forward into beloved community. It might be a feeling of something we need to be forgiven for, a mistake we made, or something that we regret. It might be something we need to forgive another for, to release them in our heart and our judgment. And with that release and letting go, to begin again in love. So there's a liturgy. I'm going to say some words, and there's a sung response, and we're going to practice it twice so we could get to know it. And it's on your screen as well. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference. We forgive ourselves and each other. For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible, we forgive ourselves and each other. For each time we have struck out in anger without just cause. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For the selfishness that sets us apart and alone, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For losing sight of our unity, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For those and so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again. May it be so that we always begin again in love.